When I was 17, I went to the International Pun Championships and I became the youngest award winner in history. I'm always happy to be the person making ridiculous puns, even if other people feel punished, so to speak.
Growing up, big family, but being the minority in your family is crazy. I'm the only girl. I got 4 brothers, 2 big ones, 2 little ones. You know, like our family was so categorized and busy growing up, literally. My mom would call them the big boys and the little boys. And I would just be kind of like hanging in the middle, you know, like, oh, we got to take the big boys to practice. Oh, we got to take the little boys to, you know, drama class or whatever. And they would kind of like jockey them. And then it would be like, okay, well, like, what about Sabiyah? So I've always kind of been this independent, hanging in the middle kind of person. And I feel like you're so in the middle that you almost get missed. And sometimes that's a good thing. And being okay with that is a great thing. You know, I don't feel like I'll have that chaos cast trigger, you know, to be like, oh, well, if you're not thinking about me, then I'm just going to blow this up, you know, because I've felt that before without it meaning anything. You know, my parents, they love me, you know, charge it to their head, not their heart. You know what I mean? And I feel like because I give grace initially, it'll allow me that time to be patient and just let things kind of unfurl and then see how it goes in my favor.
One obvious thing that makes me unique is I have a world record for most nuts tossed and caught in a can in the head in 1 minute. So I don't think anyone has that or comes close to it. I beat the record. It was like 37. I got 93. So that's a unique thing that no one here will ever be able to take away from me, I hope. I mean, I was just scrolling through social media one day and like I passed by like Guinness World Records, like their post, and like they just had like all these nut inspired like records, and I was just like watching through it, and then there's this like guy like slowly tossing like nuts onto his head, and it's like I could easily beat that. So like I practiced for like 30 minutes, I beat it, and I was like, you know what, if I just practice for a couple more hours, and like, you know, over the course of a couple weeks, I like practiced 20 minutes every now and then, and like I could have gotten over 100 if I pushed an extra couple days, but I was like, what am I doing with my life right now? I think this is good enough.
I'm not afraid of embarrassing myself. I'm not afraid of like failure. I'm not afraid of like putting myself out there at all. Like I really have no other choice but to be at 100% who I am, because that's always who I've been. So, you know, some people have reservations or have strategies. I literally have none. My strategy is to have no strategy. And then I also, you know, I've moved around a lot in my life, like whether that's on my parents' accord or whether that's on my accord. And so and like being in the restaurant industry, I've, you know, made friends with the most unlikely people. I've made homes in places that, you know, I'll never live in again, but I'll always go back there and feel at home. I'm really good at establishing relationships, even if it's just somebody who, you know, who I was walking on the trail with for a day, and we still have this lifelong bond and we still have this lifelong friendship from only 10 hours together. So I'm really good. I think my life experience really puts me in a position to be a person who makes genuine connections with strangers.
I've been doing Tai Chi for 24 years, ever since I was a kid, 6 years old. Most people don't believe that you start at 6, but my father taught me, and he had been doing it for 40 years. And now I'm a world champion in Tai Chi push hands, and I travel all over and love this art. So I do teach seminars, I do tournaments and whatnot. So I guess you wouldn't be able to tell that with the cheetah print, you know, but...
I'm not great at not being transparent, direct, or honest. And all of those sound like great qualities. But in the game of Survivor, where inevitably I'm going to have to deceive someone, I'm going to have to tell someone to their face, I'm not voting for you. When I am voting for them, I'm very worried about how that is going to negatively affect my game.
You know, in high school, I didn't have a ton of friends, so I had a lot of free time. And one of the things I did in that free time was competitive punning, which is basically a round robin style competition where 2 contestants at a time come up with puns on a subject that's given to them 5 seconds prior. The first person to not come up with a pun within 5 seconds is eliminated. If you make an illegal pun, you're also eliminated. There are a ton of ways to be eliminated, basically. And the last person standing is the winner. And when I was 17, I went to the International Pun Championships and I became the youngest award winner in history, which is a very pun fact, if you will. I love puns, and I just make them all the time. And I saw this competition and I was like, yeah. And so it's just a big part of who I am. I think just being silly. And, I think people say that puns are the lowest form of humor, but I think everyone laughs at them. Everyone has a reaction to them, right? Whether it's a laugh or it's a groan, I think they just bring people together. So I'm always happy to be the person making ridiculous puns, even if other people feel punished, so to speak.
Something that makes me different than everyone else out here is the fact that I grew up half Japanese and half white. Because, growing up, I really had this internal struggle of feeling like I was too white for the Asian kids, but I was too Asian for the white kids. And I didn't really find out where I fit in along all my friends until, I was roughly like end of middle school, early high school. And I realized that the things that made me different from the people around me were also the things that made me interesting to them. So, it was learning how to use that to my advantage that I think is a pretty unique characteristic that I'll have out here.
I really don't think anybody else has had to work for their own survival in literal and figurative terms the way I have. And I've had to do it literally every year of my entire life. It's a combination of me being an attorney, of course, but it's also just going through the world as a Black queer woman. Being on the bottom of your tribe is nothing if you've been on the bottom of society forever. I know how to maneuver. I know how to climb my way up. I know how to figure it out. I just do. And I'm kicking ass,
I think my journey of getting sober really young is unique. Part of the recovery process is essentially taking a good hard look at yourself and all of your shortcomings, all of your character defects, and saying, yes, this is me and I need to work on these things. And then essentially being given a set of tools to let go of control. And it's like the serenity prayer in action, right? Really always assessing what's in my scope of control and what's not, and radically accepting what's not. And I feel like that gives me an edge because it's going to help me stay grounded when it hits the fan and everyone's paranoid. It's there's only so much that's in my control, especially in Survivor. And if I try to hold on to the reins and control everything, other people are going to see that. It's going to be really annoying to everyone else. But I think that sense of groundedness is going to set me apart when things are crazy.
Fiji's the 28th country that I've been to. I've been to 25 countries the last 5 years. I don't do so well in the Canadian winter up there, so I was trying jet for a few months every year to get out, and then come back for the summer, which is the best part. And so I have all this experience, I feel like, connecting with all these different people. I can connect with the Wook at the festival who hasn't showered or washed, or slept in 3 days, I can connect with white collars. I can connect with blue collars from all my painting experience. I connect with these travelers. When I go to the travelers, do I tell them I'm a software salesperson? No. I want to be one of the people. So I come up with something. I say I'm a mall Santa, or I say that I'm a professional hopscotcher, just to, kind of keep myself here. And with all these people, I not only get along, I thrive. And, that's where I think it's a little bit different than everybody else. These people's skills, this ability to understand, that I think is, where I'm supremely, supremely confident.
It feels like this might be a younger cast. That's just my gauge on things. And so something that makes me unique in this game is that I come in on the older side of things. However, when people first meet me, their general impression of me is that I am younger than I actually am. And so hopefully the younger crew will be able to read my youthful energy and will be able to bond on that.
I'm always looking for growth. I would say that even when something sucks, I'll ask myself all right, what's the good in this? That's how I live my life. And that's how the people that I want around me live their life, and the people that I do have around me. I'm definitely an optimist. No matter what happens, I'm always let's go. It can always be worse. So I definitely say that. I think that's unique. Life can throw anything at me and I'll know how to overcome it. It'll be hard and I'll just overcome it. As far as my family's alive and my loved ones, then I'll overcome anything.
I'm a lesbian and everyone really should have known because I wore football jerseys until 4th grade. I love sports and I'm kind of a jock. I played a lot of sports in high school, but I'm also a huge nerd. I love video games. I love board games. I'm obsessed with this video game called Civilization, which is all about world domination. So it might come in handy here. I don't know, but it's it's a super nerdy. So I think I'm actually a little bit of a jock and a nerd for real.
The thing that makes me different from everybody else is just maybe my ability to listen. I coach football and I coached kids from the age of 5 till high school. And one of my biggest mantras with them was, you have 2 ears, 1 mouth. Who wins? So the ears win. So I have more of an ability to listen. There's a lot of stuff that I'm going to be saying, but I'm going to listen more. And when I do say things, it's going to be things that are going to be said to benefit my game and heighten the response from someone else to think that, yes, I am truly on their side and listening, which 90% of the time I am, but the other 10%, I'm thinking about what you're saying to me right now. How is that going to benefit me? And how am I going to move forward with this game? And how am I going to vote you off?
I think that I have a very particular sense of drive and perseverance. I like to get what I want. Everything that I have in life is because I've tried to go for it. I majored in radio, television, film. I found out very quickly that wasn't my niche, and I had to find my niche on the fly, which was writing. And since graduating, I've had, quite a few contract jobs. I was doing contract work right out of graduation, which is unheard of in my industry. Most people have to, build up a couple years of resume to then do contract work. I just jumped right in on it. So I can kind of get what I want, and I can kind of use my words to make sure that I'm getting those things. I have not had the resume that I need to have to land some of these jobs, and you get in the interview like we're doing now, and you kind of massage and persuade a little bit and kind of convey to this person that you're talking to that you can do this. That's what I hope to do with my team.
I know how to adapt. I've lived a life, which is actually what I thought when I was 40. I was like, come on, these babies haven't lived life. They don't know hard. Like, I've lived hard. I know hard. So I do bring experience to this.
I have a logical side. I'm a hard worker. I got that through doing law school. I pushed myself and I was able to do it like with ADD. I didn't take any drugs or anything for it. And then I also have that creative side too. So I think it's that hard work, but also that creative side of like doing theater. I teach theater to young kids as an additional job. I'm directing The Lion King right now. Fortunately, I'm going to be able to see the product when I get back, but I only got to do like half of it, half of the prep time with the kids. I think I bring that hard work, the logic, and the creativity. And I don't know if other people are going to have the same combination as that.
One thing that'll differentiate me is, well, I'll give you 2. And number 1 is the intelligence. I'm going to be good with the numbers. I'm going to be good with the puzzles. And I do think that will kind of put me a cut above the rest in a lot of regards. The second thing that I think would differentiate myself perhaps socially is that I'm super authentic. I think that this kind of honesty and earnestness, which is atypical in the nerd archetype, will endear me to people socially. And I think that will also be a differentiating factor.